We continue today with the fourth chapter of the book of Yirmiyahu. Im tashuv Yisrael nu'um Adonai elai tashuv. If you return, O Israel, God says, return to me. In yesterday's chapter, we had the famous words, Shuvu banim shovavim. Return, wayward sons, return, used a couple of times. And here God again declares to Israel, return to me. Vim tasir shikutzecha mipanai velo tanui. If you remove your abominations from my presence and do not waver. We also mentioned yesterday this verse, similar words to what's used by Yaakov when he and his family return, and he tells them to remove. The same word tasur from the same at Elohei hanechar mikir bechem. He tells them to remove their idols from with them. When I swear, God says, in sincerity, in justice, righteousness, that you will be blessed, that you will be praised by the other nations. Because God says to the citizenry, to the people of Yehuda and Yerushalayim. And in yesterday's chapter, in chapter 3, we discussed a lot about it's understood as Yirmiyahu perhaps going to the 10 tribes and telling to the 10 tribes to return, that you can return. And here he's talking back to his people, the people of Yehuda, the people of Yerushalayim. And he says, break up the ground. Don't sow among the thorns. Go and remove the thickness about your heart. The word here that's used, himolu, like a brit milah, a circumcision, but and the word orla, the foreskin, of course, what's removed in a circumcision. But he's saying remove the thickness. This is not Wegovy that they said, the report that people take Wegovy, it's good for their heart health. This is saying morally, remove the things that are making it difficult for you to act morally. That's what he says to those in Yehuda and Yerushalayim. Lest my fire comes out, my wrath, and it burns everything to the ground. Hagidu bihuda of Yerushalayim ashmiu v'imru tiku shofar ba'aretz kiru malu v'imru heasfu v'navoa el arei hamivsar. Proclaim in Judah, announce in Jerusalem, and say, it's time to blow the shofar. Assemble and let us go into the fortified cities, right? We're a people, we're together. We can gather together in the cities. So Unes Tziona, set up a signpost towards Zion, towards Zion, to Jerusalem. Ha'izu, Alta Amodu, take refuge, don't delay. Kiranochi mevi mitzafon v'shevar gadol, because a great disaster is coming from the north. Allah Aryeh misuvcho umashchit goyim nasa yatsa mimkomo. The lion has come out of the bushes, out of the thicket. According to Moses, refers to Nebuchadnezzar, Melech Bavel, the king who will be the leader, of course, of the Babylonians when they destroy Yerushalayim. And presumably, we don't know exactly, like most of this, the exact timing of this prophecy. I believe in around the year 609 was the year that Babylon defeated the Syrians and became the power of not just of the region, but basically the entire ancient civilization from northern Africa all the way to Asia Minor and all these locations. Babylon is the big. So he's gone out from his thicket. He's departed from his place. He's making lands desolate. The cities will be ruined. Alzot chigru sakim siptu vehelilu. And because of this, put on a sackcloth, mourn, cry out, Kilo Sharon Shav Charon Af Adonai Mimenu, because God's anger has not turned away. For God says to the Jewish people, Yirmiyahu tells them you should act morally, get rid of the items that are making it difficult for you, that are cutting you off from your good moral behavior, which is what you should have. But if you don't, God's anger is coming. Vahaya, we're in verse 9. Vahaya vayomahu nu'um Adonai Yovad lev hamelech v'lev hasarim v'nasham v'akohanim v'anivim yitmahu. And on that day, says God, the mind of the king and the nobles will fail. The priests will be appalled. The prophets will stand aghast. That's how crazy all of this destruction will be. That's how horrible it is. And if this prophecy comes, if it is during the days of Yoshiyahu in yesterday's chapter, if it's a continuation of that prophecy, which was during the days of Yoshiyahu, who is this great king who repents, who serves God, who destroys idolatry, what it said in yesterday's chapter was that the people of Yerushalayim did not fully repent. It wasn't wholehearted. It wasn't bechol levavchem. It wasn't with all of their hearts. And so perhaps that is why these horrors, if it's back in his days that these are being said, that these things will still come true, that the destruction is only delayed and not written away, like in the book of Yonah, where of course it's completely written away. Where verse 10, Pasuk Yud, Ve'omar, aha, Adonai Elohim, achein hashe hasheta la'am hazeh v'Yerushalayim lemor shalom yelachem v'naga cherev ad hanafesh. And I said, God, surely you've deceived these people by saying, it shall be well with you when the sword threatens them. At that time, it will be said about the people of Yerushalayim that the conduct of my poor people is like the wind, like the bearing hearts of the desert. It will not serve to winnow or to fan. Ruach malei me'ela yavo li, ata gam yadaber mishpatimotam. A full, strong wind will come against me, and now I will turn and bring my charges against them. A full retribution for everything that has gone wrong for these people, and they're abandoning God and following idols and immorality. Oy lanu kishudadnu. Oy, the destroyer, it's coming like clouds. Chariots are like whirlwinds. Its horses are swifter than eagles. Woe to us, we are ruined. And in that verse 13, right, this idea, minisharim kalu, we have that all the way back. That's the language of King David, all the way back in describing the death, the killing of the first king, Shaul, and his son, Yonatan. Similar language is used. And when you hear the Oy Lanu in this verse, it's no surprise that Yirmiyahu is believed to be the author of his book and the book of Eicha, because that's the type of language. Woe is to us, Oy Lanu. All the groaning, the moaning, the sadness that is expressed. Kabsi me'ra'ali bech Yerushalayim laman tiva shei ad matai talin b'kirbech machshavot avonech. Wash your heart clean of wickedness, Jerusalem, so that you may be rescued. There's still a chance for you to be rescued if you go fully and repent. How long will you harbor within your evil thoughts and designs? Kikol magid midanu mashmiya aven mehar Ephraim. Because one proclaims from Dan. If you remember the city of Dan, people of Dan, towards the end of the book of Shoftim, they went because they couldn't capture all their territory, and they moved north, and they destroyed an ancient city that was a peaceful city, and they renamed it Dan. It's one of the last episodes, second to last episode of the book of Shoftim, describing how bad things were in that area. So the sound is coming from Dan. That's the north. So it's coming from the north. Umashmiya aven mehar Ephraim, and announces calamity from Mount Ephraim. So it's coming south towards Jerusalem. Hazkiru lagoyim. Hine hishmiu al Yerushalayim notzrim ba'im me'eretz hamerchak v'yitnu al arei Yehuda kolam. Tell the nations they're coming. Announce it concerning Yerushalayim. Watchers are coming from a distant land. They raise their voices, right? Their voice in war, in battle, are coming against Yehuda. Kishomrei Shaddai hayu aleha misavim. They were like guards of Kishomrei Sadai, like guards of the field. It's not guards of Shaddai, of gods, even though it's understood by Yirmiyahu, as in the book of Yeshayahu, that these enemies are the arms of God, expressing his will. They're like guards of the field that surround the field on every side. Kiat oti maratanu Adonai, because she, that is Jerusalem and its inhabitants, has rebelled against me. Darkeich uma'alalayich asu elelach. And why has this happened, God says? It's not because of me. Your behavior, your actions have brought this upon you. Kimar kinaga adli bech. This is your bitterness, your punishment, because of your own hearts, because of your own behaviors. May I, we're in verse 19, Pasuk Yutet, may I, Ochila, Kirot libi, Homeli libi, Lo acharish, Ki kol shofar shamat, Nafshi truat. Here words, may I, oh, in Eicha, right? My suffering, I'm so sick, hard, I'm having the heart sickness. I'm so scared. I'm so worried. I'm so much anxiety. I can't be silent, for I hear the blast, the alarms of war. And interesting, right? The truah is the blast of war, the truah, which is supposed to wake up Bnei Yisrael. And maybe that word means, right, Bnei Yisrael, you hear this, repent. Maybe you have a last moment, the same way we're in the month of Elul, Rosh Hashanah coming. The shofar is supposed to wake us up. Will they hear the kol shofar? Shever al shever nikra, ki shudada kol haaretz. Disaster and another disaster. All the land has been destroyed. Pitom shudadu ole rega yirotai. My tents are ravaged. In a moment, my tent, right? It's destroyed. It's knocked down. Ad matai er nes. How long must I see this? Eshma'a kol shofar, and hear the sound of the shofar. How long will I have to see this war, this destruction that's coming from our enemies from the north? Enough of it. My people are dumb. They don't listen. They're foolish. They have no brains. Chachamim hema lehara. They are clever. Finally admits the Jewish people are clever. They're smart. But how are they clever? In lahara, in doing wickedness. Ulehetiv lo yado. But they're unable to do the right thing. They know how to use their brains, but it's only to commit fraud. It's only to take advantage of the wicked. It's only to worship idols. It's not in helping. It's not in making a society better. We're in verse 23, Pasuk Chav Gimel, Ra'iti et haaretz v'nei tohu vavo. And look at this here. How bad is it? God says, I look at the earth and it's like pre-creation. It's tohu vavo. Those are the words that are used before God begins to create. Right? That's the word that represents the vacuum, the chaos, the nothingness. All the heavens, the light is gone. We've undone creation. How bad things have become. I look at them quaking. The hills are rocking. I look. No human is left. All of the birds of the sky have fled. It is an undoing of creation. That's how bad things have become. The Carmel, which was a place of farmland and much vegetation, it's like the desert. And all of its towns are in ruin because of God, because of God's blazing anger. Think of this in regards to the second half, the last number of chapters, not the last 3, but the last 20 chapters or so of the book of Yeshivas, which talked about the Negev blooming, about the deserts becoming full of vegetation and the cities that would be built there. Here it's the opposite. Destruction is coming to the fertile parts of the land of Israel. God says the whole land will be desolate, but I will not make an end of it. Because as the earth mourns and the skies are dark, that's what I said, that's what I planned, and I'm not going to turn back. It's going to happen. Right? You are not doing tshuva. You are not returning. Shuvu vanim shovavim. And thus at the end of this verse, verse 28, v'lo ashuv mimena, God says, I'm not going to return from my plan to wipe it out. Mikol parash v'roma keshe broacha kol ha'ir ba'u be'avim v'chefim alu kol ha'ir azuva v'ein yoshev bahen ish. Right? There's the shout of the horseman and the archer. The whole city flees. And they go into the thickets. They go into the forest, the place where the lion, where Nebuchadnezzar has come out. We're running away to hide. We hide behind the rocks. The whole city is deserted. Nothing remains. Vi'at shadud. And you are doomed. Ma ta'asi kil dabashi shani. Ki ta'adi adi zahav. Ki tikri'i b'puchenaich lashav tityafi. Ma'asuv obim nafshechi yivakeshu. Right? You are ruined. And yes, you wore fancy clothing, crimson, and you had jewels, and you put I don't even know what it's called, mascara or whatever around your eye. All of that was in vain. Everybody despises you. And it's not clear exactly what this means in terms of the reference to to sort of the beauty. Is it saying that you tried to be like the other nations? You tried to make yourself look beautiful by worshiping their gods, by imitating them? Is that what you tried to do? And it didn't work because they despise you? Unclear, but that's the way I like to understand that verse. Interesting. The other place where I remember this idea of Bapuch Einayach is the terrible queen Izevel married to Achav. When they came to finally kill her, maybe she wanted to look like a queen. Or maybe she was trying to seduce the person who was coming to kill her, who had killed all the other members of basically of her family. Then she put this Puch Einah, she put this mascara, whatever it might be, on her eye. Continuing the last verse, we have Kol kechola shamati tzarakim vapira kol batzion tityapeach tifares kapeha oy nali ki aifa nafshi lahorgim. I hear a voice, like a sickened voice, anguish of a woman who's bearing her first child, voice of the fair, right, the batzion, the fair zon, who's screaming and stretching out. And he found Oina Li, woe is for me, because I am here in front of my killers. I have no strength. I am ayef. I am tired. Somebody who's had too much. And so we see here Yirmiyahu expressing the idea of Bnei Israel and telling them what's going to come to them. And he's trying to give them a last chance. Repent while you can. Don't be destroyed. There is a chance. But if Bnei Israel are not shuvu vanim shovavim, then God will lo ashuv. God will not repent, and it will be so terrible. It will be like the complete undoing of creation. No birds, no humans, no lights. Everything is going to be, unfortunately, back to being like tohu vavohu, like a vacuum, like chaos, with nothing around. So complete will be the destruction.